All right, let's predict some awards. Way too early on this. We'll probably get some better predictions preseason. But early thoughts on the major awards. Comeback Player of the Year.
Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence got a new sheriff in town at the head coach spot. He's had some rough goes at it as of late, but we love BTJ. I think Travis Hunter will be a guy that can show up and help out, obviously, with this offense. I think it could be time for a change in Jacksonville. And obviously, the catalyst for that will be Trevor Lawrence having a great year.
I'm going to go with Max Crosby. Fresh off an extension, obviously injured last year towards the end. Comes back, 15 or so sacks. He'll finally have some leads. You'll finally be able to pin his ears back at times. That obviously helps as a pass rusher. And I think he wins Comeback Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Colston Loveland. Tight end, Chicago Bears.
Aren't there a lot of mouths to feed there? A little too many mouths to feed?
Big old mouth there on Colston, okay? I think he's wearing 84. All the 84s I've ever seen, they're pretty damn good at football, okay? Throw him the football.
If Brock Bowers could not win after the season he had last year.
Their team wasn't good.
Yeah.
If the Bears make the playoff, if we'll get to the coach of the year and all this stuff, if it's a couple Bears up there at the NFL honors, we'll be talking about Colston Loveland.
I'm going to go with Ashton Genty. Chalky, yes, but like good O-line.
Yeah.
Great offense coordinator for scheming up the running game and just absurdly talented football player. So he's going to put up some numbers. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
You take this one away. We both got the same guy.
Abdul Carter. He was the best defensive player. It's like when, it was like 2 years ago with Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, where it's just like, they're just so much better than the other guys in the class. Defense that, like, if you're going to look elsewhere for the Rookie of the Year, I think you're mistaken. That's how I feel about Abdul Carter. He's just that good. And he's in a spot where he's not going to get doubled. He's going to get opportunities. Now, maybe they won't play with a lot of leads, but like, he's going to have quarterbacks pushed into his face routinely from his line mates there. So yeah, Abdul Carter, D-Roy.
He gives me nightmares just watching, you go watch his highlight tapes, you go watch anything on this guy. It's just, as an offensive lineman, it just gives me real anxiety that there are going to be human beings responsible for blocking him one-on-one next year. And, he's young, he's a rookie, he's going to have juice, and boy, oh boy, does he have skill.
All right. Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, because if the Bengals do make the playoffs, if they do make a run, it's going to be on the backs of the three horsemen there in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, give me OPOY.
Yeah, I think he deserves one too, right? Like, he got, I don't want to say robbed. Obviously, Saquon Barkley was deserving of OPOY last year, but he had a season that you almost, if he doesn't match that, but still it's a very good season, still is like the best receiving season in the NFL, you're going to want to give it to him just because that guy deserves one with the level of football he's playing right now. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's going to be put in favorable spots by Liam Cohen. I think he can't put a number on that. Now, obviously, he has more of a secondary option this year in Travis Hunter, but I only think that's going to help him in the long run in terms of statistically, and what he did as a rookie, just what he showed was high-end talent. So I think there's a very real shot he's a 1,700 yard wide receiver this season.
Yeah, his volume may not be as much as you would like this year, but he will have more explosives because of the coverage that is dictated by having a guy like Travis Hunter opposite him. And this lends itself to Trevor Lawrence being the comeback player of the year. I see that, the writing's on the wall for you, Mike.
Yep. Defensive Player of the Year.
This could be a dark horse. I'm not really sure. I didn't check the lines on this, but Jalen Carter is as dominant a defensive player as there is in the National Football League, and I think he could be DPOY.
Yeah, I think year 3 for him is kind of, it's time. Like, it's probably when he establishes himself as like the clear cut, hopefully, best defensive tackle in the NFL. But Chris Jones obviously still in that mix. And Dexter Lawrence is still in that mix, healthy. I'm going to go Dexter Lawrence for Defensive Player of the Year. I think I think that Giants defensive line, I am buying this Giants team heavily. I think there's just too much talent along the defensive line that there's going to be a lot of sacks for this Giants defense. And if Lawrence picks up double digits, 12 or so, I think you'll finally get the respect that he deserves as the unquestioned best nose tackle in the NFL. Coach of the Year.
Okay, so my Coach of the Year is going to be Ben Johnson. And I was there when Matt Nagy took the job in Chicago on a middling franchise and got us to the wild card game. And people acted like we landed on the moon. He won the award. Obviously, a ton of guys went to the Pro Bowl. That's what happens when you're a big-time media market like Chicago. If the Bears do have a turnaround, I'm not saying the 1 seed. I'm talking about if they get themselves into the dance, Ben Johnson's going to win the Coach of the Year. It's going to happen. I've seen it happen before, and I think that this team is primed to make even more of a splash offensively than we did with Matt Nagy.
I cannot
What's yours?
I cannot say. I do think they are going to be a lot better this year. It's just
Josh Dooley says Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year. I could totally see that.
The only thing stopping me from Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year was he's won it before. And I don't know if, voter fatigue sort of thing. Giving
on a new team, though, you can totally see that.
Yes. I think he's going to be in the mix. But I went Todd Bowles because, again, I think the Bucs line at only 9.5. So the expectations are not that they're going to be a great team. I think there's a real shot they get the 1 seed in the NFC just because their schedule, their division, how good that team is. Maybe I'm pumping their gas too much. But if they get the 1 seed with the expectation being 9.5 wins, I think a lot of people will be like, Todd Bowles, Coach of the Year. Now, realistically, I think it's more Jason Light, GM of the Year. I think he's done an unbelievable job of rebuilding since their Super Bowl win. But obviously, coaches sometimes get the runoff from a GM and their decisions. All right, MVP.
Pete Carroll, a sleeper, says CPU GC. Totally.
Dude, I'm buying Raiders. Maybe not necessarily playoffs, but I'm buying a big turnaround for the Raiders. All right, MVP. Who we got?
Joseph Burrow, who I thought played MVP caliber football last year, but unfortunately it's a team game and didn't get, we're not going to give the MVP to a guy who didn't make the playoffs. So Joe Burrow can't get it. But if you watch Joe Burrow, he's an MVP.
Yeah. And it felt like last year with the Josh Allen that they're trying to give it to kind of that top group. I think everyone knows the top group at this point. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. That they were just they're going to try to spread it around and give everyone in that top group one. And so if Joe Burrow just replicates what he did last year, basically, but the defense doesn't play like dog shit.
If Evan McPherson can make a couple kicks.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's winning MVP.